Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Of course, I am Frankly FM84 and a big thank you for joining me if you're a returning visitor to the channel. If it's your first time, fear not, you have picked the perfect moment to come and have a look at what is going on the channel. Today we are going to be kicking off a brand new adventure as we travel outside of the UK for the first time in FM22 to manage a club. You might be able to tell by looking at the screens around me. We are off to Japan to manage a club called Shonan Bellmare. So before we get into that, if you are new here, don't forget to go back, look at the Leeds United Pride of Yorkshire save. We have been doing so well in that save, and it's a story that really has just rolled on and on and on. We are currently in season 5 and we are moving quickly through that season. But today is all about a brand new adventure. So a little bit about the club. Shonan Bellmare. I believe they are a club that are on the Sagamai Bay coastal area, which is just about 50 kilometers outside of Tokyo. I didn't want to pick one of the massive, well-established clubs to go off and manage because I wanted to have something that is a bit of a challenge. Shonan have been a team that have been a bit of a yo-yo club. They have a rich heritage in Japanese football, and they are a team that I want to build back up into a big name in Japanese football and certainly in the J League. The aim will be to get them as high as I can, to win as much as I can, and also to try and raise the stature of Japanese football, hopefully using our youth team systems. And I think we're going to bring in a few 1 or 2 foreign players to try and raise the game of the Japanese players at the club. And I think that if we mash the two kind of cultures together, I really think that we can go on an adventure that will be exciting and will also achieve all of the things that we want to achieve in the save. So let's not waste any more time. Let's have a little look at the screens, go through them one by one, and then we'll hit off a list of things that really are going to cover in the first episode, then second episode, and then I think by episode 3 we'll have some match footage for you as we will kick off our J League campaign. So hitting up the first screen that you can see above me here, Shonan Bellmare have today confirmed the appointment of Frankly FM84 as the club's new manager. Eyebrows have been raised at the appointment of the 37-year-old who has recently spent time away from football. He's sure to face plenty of questions when he faces the media for the first time here at Suka Stadium. Little hint there, we don't do press conferences and team talks and that kind of stuff. Bit of a lazy manager, going to hold my hands up straight away. You won't see any of that in the games. They're tedious, they're boring. I know they bring an edge of, like, an element of realism to the game, but realistically it's so boring to sit down with one reporter and just keep answering the same questions over and over and over. So there is a reason that your staff can deal with those kinds of things, and that is the one thing that we will be setting up pretty quickly to handle all that kind of stuff. So we put pen to paper on a 2-year deal worth £800, and I replaced previous manager Satoshi Yamaguchi. It says that I lack the reputation of a survival specialist, which creates an intriguing dynamic with many pundits expecting them to face a battle to avoid relegation this season. As I said, Bellmare are a team that build their players up, and then once they get to a certain point, they have to sell those players on. They've had a few high-profile stars in the past, such as Hitachi Nakata, and once they get into a position where they are thriving, they have to cash in, and then that cycle restarts. So it's something that we are going to be looking at throughout the entire save, I am sure. So let's move on to the next page. Kiyoshi Makabe. Not 100% sure on my Japanese pronunciations. Hopefully I'll get better as it goes along. But they are welcoming us to the club. Head of discussions regarding the club's vision and objectives. Prepared a welcome pack to help you settle into your new home. So we are a 2-star reputation team. We are media prediction to finish in 16th. We have a director of football called Kiyoshi Sekiguchi. We have an assistant manager who is Kenji Takahashi. The club was founded in 1968. We don't have any fierce rivals, which is a little bit strange considering we are close to Tokyo, I believe. So not 100% sure why we don't have fierce rivals, but not a big problem. And then in the upcoming season, last season we finished in the J1 League in 18th place. we enter the Emperor's Cup at the second round, and we are in the AFC Champions League, and we enter at the group stage. So, not too sure why we are in the Champions League if we finished 18th last season. Not too sure what's going on there. Firstly, as well, before I skip on, if there are little errors or anything that is wrong in the database, or anybody who follows Japanese football very, very closely, I am using a custom database that I will leave the link to in the description down below. A big thank you to every single person that has worked hard on that database. I know that they've got it as accurate as can be, but obviously little things here and there might not be 100%. So if there is anything, put your hand up in the comment section, let me know, and I'm pretty happy to try and answer any questions that I can about the database. But once again, as I said, the effort and the work that has gone into the database by the people that have made this database is phenomenal, and a big thank you to them once again. So let's move on. So this is basically what our best 11 should be. They are setting up with a 4-1-2-1 or a 4-3-3 basically. It's kind of one of those hybrid systems where it can be a 4-1-4-1 or a 4-3-3. Doesn't really matter. And it's predicting that our starting lineup should be Tani in goal, Takahashi, Oiwa, Ono, Okamoto, then Miyuki, Barada, Nago, Alianusi, who is one of the foreign players on the left, Akida on the right, with Wellington, who is the superstar striker, up top. So looking at the bottom, it says our hot prospect is Wakatusi. I don't think he's in the starting lineup, so he's one that's obviously going to be built upon. Our top earner is Wellington, and that is pretty obvious. He is a Brazilian who has previous experience in Japanese football and is a player that Shonan bought in, I believe, in the off-season between 21 and 22, because we start the season in 2022, so I think he's a off-season acquisition there. So that is pretty much the starting lineup. We have a few committed transfers. So we have our goalkeeper Tani, he's on loan. We're going to look to extend that for another season, I think, but a goalkeeper might be a priority. And then we've got Ryo Nimoto, Kodai Minoda, Junosuke Suzuki and Akito Suzuki all coming in on free transfers on the 1st of February. So a few players coming in to get us started. So then on to the club vision and club culture. So we are being asked to sign players under the age of 23 for the first team. We have maximum 1-year contracts for players over the age of 32, maximum 2-year contracts for players over the age of 30, minimum 2-year contracts for first team players. And then in the first season, they want us to avoid relegation because that's where we're predicted. They want us to reach the 4th round of the Emperor's Cup, and they want us to be competitive in the AFC Champions League. So we're going to try and do everything we can with that. Then, end of 2022 season, our contract expires, hopefully gets renewed, and then we are continuing to remain in the J1 League, and that I think is pretty achievable. So then, looking at all of this, as you settle in, series of emails, don't really need any of that. We'll take that as it comes. Some of it's a little bit boring, so we'll skip some of it, and then some of it can be scheduled to our assistants. So we'll use the staff that are available to do some of the jobs. And then moving on, I'd like to congratulate you once again and wish you the very best of luck. So we don't want the press conference, and we don't want an interest squad friendly to assess the team. I don't really think that's necessary when we have friendly games coming up. So this is it. We are about to jump into the world of Shonan Bellmare. Let's head to our inbox and see what awaits us in the inbox. Okay, so here we are at the inbox, and the first screens that we see as we come into the club and taking charge for the first time. So confirmation that we have been confirmed, and then looking at the players that are in the last year of the contract. So we have Tariq Aliyanusi. Like I said, he's one of the foreign players, one of the superstars at the club, valued at £18,000 to £75,000 on a wage of £4,400. So one of the top earners at the club. Don't really want to make a decision on him yet. Wellington is another 33-year-old valued at £45 to £170,000. He's on a whopping £8,750 per week, so one of the club's top earners. We then have quite a few other first teamers. We have Gendai Ishikawa here, who has significant potential, and they are telling us to offer a contract straight away. So we will be doing that in the next part of the video. The next thing it wants us to do is tactics. This is something I'm going to skip over because I will be revealing that in tomorrow's episode. And then club vision and expectations meeting. So this is exactly what we've just been over, saying that basically they want us to continue to be a J1 league team, sign players under the age of 23 for the first team. That might be difficult. Maximum 1-year contracts for over 32s, 2-year contracts for over 30s, 2-year contracts for first team players. So not really going to go against the grain at the moment, try and kick things off. So we're going to accept that club vision. Then pre-season preparation. So the players are due to return for pre-season today. Now be a good time to review your plans for them. First team squad will be handling a pre-season training camp in Yokohama, Japan. Camp starts on the 22nd of January and lasts until the 3rd of February. So not a problem there. Then we don't have any injuries at the moment. Squad selection rules. So this is going to be quite important as I'm not familiar with the way that it works. So let's have a look. The following rules will be enforced for the following season. Match squad can have no more than 5 foreign players. Squad must have at least 3 players trained by the club or by a club in Japan. At least 4 goalkeepers need to be in the squad. Must have 15 players and no more than 30. So looking at that, at the moment we meet the requirement of squad size 22, maximum of 30. We meet that. Players trained by Shonan Bellmare or trained in Japan for 3 years or before their 21st birthdays, 19 out of 41 at the club. Goalkeepers, we currently have 3 in the squad, but 6 at the club, so we could move one of them around to get that 4. Minimum squad size is 22 of 44, so that's a hit. AFC Champions League squad rules. So, if minimum rules cannot be reached, spaces will be left in the squad. Okay, so we haven't had to pick an AFC Champions League squad yet, which is obvious because we haven't started the competition yet, but once that comes around, we will need to keep in mind that we can have a minimum of 15, a maximum of 30. Foreign players, we currently have 4 at the club, which I know Aliyanusi and Wellington are definitely 2. There is a little bit of tenderness around Shonan Bellmare. In real life, there was a player, Riula, I think his name is. Basically, he passed away in real life. I'm not 100% sure how to approach that with the save, whether to continue to use the player as he would have been used. But obviously that one is a bit tender, but he takes up one of our foreign spaces as he is a Brazilian. And then in terms of foreign players, not including Asian players, we have 3. And then goalkeepers in the squad, 3. So that's just for the AFC Champions League. Then obviously we decline to meet the press. The last couple of things then that we are going to look at for this episode, just a little introduction into the team. So having a look at the squad, you can see that in terms of some of our key players. So our best goalkeeper is Kosai Tani. He is currently on loan from Gamba Osaka. He is a player that we need to extend that loan deal for, although in fairness, looking at him, he's a 21-year-old who has plenty of room to improve, but I think we might go out and try and get another goalkeeper to come in terms of our centre backs. So the club has quite a few gadget players. So Kazunari Ono is an out and out centre back. That is his only position. He's 32 years old. He is a player who is ranked 2nd on our current star abilities behind Daiki Sugioka. Yeah, that's right. And he is actually listed as a wing back, but can play centre back. So again, gadget player. At the age of 23, we probably need to be looking at renewing his contract. It expires on the 31st of January. So yeah, probably need to be. Oh, he's actually on loan from Kashima Antlers. That's why. Didn't spot that until looked up there. That's the reason why his contract is about to run out. So maybe look at retaining him for another season if we can get that deal done. Then moving into the midfield, we have quite a lot of midfielders. Akimi Barada, he seems to be one of the players who is highly rated. So looking at him, he's only behind Aliyanusi, who is one of the foreign players that keep saying. And then we've got Yamada and Nago. So have a little look at these two. So Naoki Yamada, he's there. He's a player. He's got good passing, technique, work rate, vision, teamwork, good agility, and decent enough pace and acceleration. So quite happy with him. And then Shintaro Nago. He is another one who is on loan from Kashima Antlers. Don't know whether to try and renew that loan deal or whether to let that one run. But he has passing of 12, technique of 12, good decisions, determination, flair, and his physicals are all okay for the J League, it seems, too. So those are probably our best midfielders. And then we have Tariq Aliyanusi. Now, this is a player that I think is going to cause me a headache because at the age of 33, he probably doesn't offer us too much for too long. And on a wage of 4,400, it's only a 1-year deal. So whether we just let that deal run down and keep him for the season, or whether we try and get that 4,400 off of the wage book, I'm not too sure. And then another one, Wellington, like I said earlier, he is the best striker at the club. He's on £8,750 per week, which is a little bit crippling when your wage budget, as you'll see in a second, is not all that. So 2 headaches of those 2 players. We then also have Shuto Machida. He's 22 years old, plays as a striker, and he, according to the board there, is the 3rd best striker at the club. So a good base for us to work off. His wages are quite high too, £2,700. So definitely something that there is building blocks there, and we have a decent enough squad. We need to fiddle it about a little bit, maybe bring a few players in, extend a few loans, and see where we go. But speaking of finances, this is where it all starts to get a little bit wonky. In terms of overall balance, £2 million in the bank, that's not too bad. Our transfer budget is £152,800. However, the wage budget is £83,772. We're already spending £86,000. So we have really a gap there between what we should be spending and what we are spending, which is around about Alianusi's wage, which gives me even more of a headache. I could move that transfer budget, but if it's available, I might need to use it, although I will see what happens in terms of bringing players in. And if that gets a little bit tight, I could always use that 152,000 to convert to wage budget and see where we are in terms of money. So I think that is pretty much covering all of the basics in terms of the club. We have gone through the opening screens, we have gone through the squad, probably need a little bit of depth. Gonna have to keep some of those loan players and maybe move a player or 2 on. We're going to see where we can generate a bit of money. In terms of playing games, we don't currently have a schedule. Okay, we do currently have a schedule. So it must have literally just been announced just as we were signed, because it wasn't there before. But we have 3 friendly games currently pending, and then we kick off the J League on the 19th of February. So in tomorrow's episode, we're going to go through players that are probably going to be moved on. We're going to have a little look at some players that might be brought in. We are also going to reveal the tactic that we will be using to try and conquer the J League. And we will tick off a few other boxes that might have been missing from episode 1. So if you've enjoyed that and you're at this point of the video, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you're looking forward to sticking with this adventure, seeing where we go. Can we make a success of a team that's been a yo-yo team across the years? Then don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and you will never miss an episode of Bello Calcio, which, just like Shonan Bellmare, means beautiful sea. Bello Calcio is beautiful football, and that is what we are going to aim to play in this save. So come back tomorrow and have a little look at what we can do in the transfer market and how we get on moving that budget around and where we are off to in terms of Shonan Bellmare.